All right, let's intro these games for Super Wildcard Weekend. Let's start with Chargers at Houston, Saturday at 4:30. Chargers right now sit at -2.5 favorites. The over-unders at 42.5. Um, these two teams obviously have not matched up this season so far. Um, do you have a pick for this game? I'm just gonna say I'm just gonna say a few things, and then obviously, like, you can say what you think's gonna happen. Houston, the Houston Texans. There's two teams in the playoffs right now that I would want to play if I'm an opposing team. Houston Texans and the Pittsburgh Steelers. These
Yep.
teams have fallen off of a cliff, and when you go into the playoffs every single year, there are signs of teams who are playing quality football and teams who have played their quality football early on in the season, and injuries start to stack up. Things aren't going their way, and it's some teams to avoid. The Houston Texans have lost all of their mojo. And we've been saying this even when they were winning close games. We would hop on here and be like, the Texans won, but like they look like shit. Like you're like they don't look good. And we've said that all year. And again, like these injuries, their offensive line, I think it's too much. I think the Chargers are too well coached. I think this is the Chargers game to completely lose. What do you have for this game?
Yeah, I absolutely love the Chargers here. I think this is just two teams just completely trending in the opposite direction. I know that we haven't really felt great about Tennessee this entire year. Um, I don't really know if they ever played good football this
Tennessee,
season. I mean,
the
not Tennessee. Sorry,
Texans.
I have ESPN pulled up,
I was
and
like, wait a
the
second.
article says Tennessee's on the clock. Um, but the Texans, I don't really think they've played good football this entire season, which,
Yeah.
again, we kind of predicted that coming in with the fact that they would have to play a much tougher schedule, and it played out just how we predicted. So I love the Chargers here. I think they cover 2.5. I think they're more physical. I think they're better coached, and um, I think Harbaugh goes in there and gets a playoff win year one in the NFL of his reintroduction to the NFL.
Yeah, I think so too. I think the Chargers win this game by a touchdown. I think that this could be a game where it could be low scoring, but I think that the Chargers defense is just flat too much for the Houston Texans. So definitely like the Chargers this weekend.
Yeah,
Next game, Pittsburgh Steelers at the Baltimore Ravens, Saturday, 8 o'clock at night. The Ravens right now are 9.5 point favorites. The over-under sits at 43.5. These two teams matched up two times this season, being obviously their interdivision rivals. First matchup was like a low-scoring rock fight where the Steelers came out on top. Second matchup, Ravens put belt to ass, handled business. Something that we pointed out before the season started was the Steelers stretch down the end of the season was the toughest part of their season. Everybody knew it was coming, but how they handled themselves in this last stretch of the season really spoke to how crazy above expectation they were playing. 4 straight losses to the Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs, and Bengals. We highlighted this before the season that we did not think the Steelers were a good football team. Their defensive stats and where they sit are skewed because of how well they play from time to time. Like there might be some games where they play well above expectation, but something that I said and you agreed with me was like, I think that this defense regresses to the means this season and sits around somewhere between the middle of the pack. And that's exactly what happened. And then as the season went on, we highlighted in the season that we thought that they had one of the worst offensive skill groups in the entire NFL. And obviously, over the last like back stretch half of the season, you really start to notice how thin that wide receiving core is, how limited Najee Harris is. And obviously, they have an absolute, their quarterback room is some of the worst in the NFL. So, what do you have for this game? And do you have anything else that you want to add about the Steelers and or the Ravens?
yeah. I mean, I think just ending the season on a 4-game losing streak,
Bad
and
vibes.
even giving the Bengals an ounce of hope in that very last game to make the playoffs is really not how you want to end the year. The biggest issue here is this offense. This skill position group is just absolutely horrible. If you can't get George Pickens going, which we saw exactly what happened against the Bengals on last weekend. I think he had 2 catches for 1 yard, 3 catches for 0 yards. Like, you can't have that and expect to win a football game unless you're miraculously running for 300 yards, and that Steelers offense is just not capable of it. So, really, really bad vibes this last 4-game stretch of the season. I think the Ravens probably go belt to ass here again in this first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, I think they take care
Truly
of
wouldn't
business.
surprise me if they win by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I'm right with
And
you. I
this
think they take
defense
care of
started
it.
out so hot and just has really, really cooled off ever since that. I mean, realistically, ever since that first win against the Ravens, the defense has really gone downhill. Since then, they've been 2-5 in their last 7 games.
And save it with the injuries.
One of those was against the Browns.
Save it with the injuries talk too. Every team in the NFL is so beat up. Like even this past weekend, the Ravens lose Zay Flowers, their Pro Bowl wide receiver. Like every single player in every single team in the NFL has players on both sides of the football that either aren't playing or beat up. So don't use the injuries as an excuse.
I also think the just kind of like the drama that's been going on in, honestly, offensive and defensive locker rooms is just not great and not where you want to be as a team heading into the playoffs. Like Cam Hayward, I believe they were talking about how if 10 guys do their job and one guy doesn't, like, you can get all messed up. And then Russ and Pickens just not being on the same page. Just not really where you want to be heading into a playoff game against a Ravens team that can run it up on you.
100%. Denver Broncos at the Buffalo Bills Sunday at 1:00. Buffalo is 8.5-point favorites. The over-unders at 47. These two teams did not match up during the season. I have a strong opinion on this game because I wanted to pick the Broncos to win, and part of me just can't get there fully. Just because at some point you have to go with Josh Allen, the veteran. He's been there before at home, 1:00. The Broncos are coming the whole way across to the East Coast, playing at 1:00. I think that matters. I think that's a big advantage for the Bills. But again, you have to ride with Josh Allen. But I will say, I do think this game's close. I think Denver covers that 8.5-point spread, but I definitely think the Bills win this football game.
That's exactly where I'm at too. I was going to take the Broncos plus the points here. I think their defense is solid, but like you mentioned, having to go across the country to play in Buffalo against one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL is never a very fun place to be in the first round, especially with a rookie quarterback. I feel like you don't really understand the difficulty of going into Buffalo as a rookie in your first playoff game. Tough place to play. Really freaking cold. Obviously, they kind of get that out there in Denver, but just a kind of different animal up there in Orchard Park. Like I said, though, I do like the Broncos to cover, but also one thing that really hasn't been talked about a lot, which you mentioned the other day when we were talking about the Broncos, was who have the Broncos beaten? What teams have they beaten with winning records? I think that it is important to, if you're gonna pick a team to win in the playoffs that is an underdog, I think they have to show you that they have beaten teams that are better than them and are capable of doing so. Yeah, they beat the Chiefs last week, but they played their third stringers all over the field.
The C Squad Chiefs don't count. I was looking at their schedule the other day. They beat one playoff team, the Bucks, in the week 3, and then since then They lost, or this season they lost to Seattle, who won 10 games. The Steelers, who are a playoff team, lost to the Chargers, who are a playoff team, twice. They got smoked by the Ravens, lost to the Chiefs, and then lost to the Bengals. And the teams that they beat: Colts, Browns, Raiders, Falcons, like Saints, like those wins. And our boy Brady was trying to be like, I don't know. Brady just hates me and like just goes against literally every single thing that I could possibly say. He's like, well, only a team like can only beat like a few playoff teams like in a year. Yeah, like I get it, that's true, but like also like every single team that the Broncos have beat are like teams that have like 4 wins, like 4 to 8 wins. So like
Yeah.
at a point, like it's just like okay, like they can't beat teams who like actually have a pulse. So
And that's not an issue. Like you have a rookie quarterback and you're good enough. You're playing above your expectations. I mean, not Brady's. Brady expected them to be here, but like not many other people outside of Denver thought that the Broncos would be a playoff team and win 10 games. Like
yeah.
you are playing well above your expectations. You're further along than I'm sure so many people thought in year 1 with Bo Nix as your quarterback. Like no matter what happens, if you go in there and cover, or if you go in there and get smoked, like you still had a good year. You still won 10 games. Like maybe you win, but you have to have the football bounce your way more than one time in this game. And I just can't see that happening.
I said this the other day. The Broncos are like the make-a-wish playoff team. Like if the Chiefs didn't have to just flat rest their starters in week 18, there's a real chance that they're not even in the playoffs. So but I do think that they'll keep this game close, but I just don't think Denver has enough firepower on offense. And Brady mentioned very highly, like nobody wants to see this defense right now. They gave up 30 points to the Bengals 2 weeks ago. They gave up 34 points to the Chargers. They gave up 32 points to the Browns. Like this defense also is capable of giving up points. It's not like they're a completely locked down team. So I don't think that they're going to be able to contain this Buffalo run game the entire game at all.
I also don't think you want to go into Buffalo and play Josh Allen. Like Josh
No,
Allen's not scared of anybody. He had a week off. Like he's
no. You have to
just
go. You
Josh
got to
Allen.
go with Josh Allen. You have to go with him. At least right now, you got to think he takes care of business. So next game on the docket here is the Green Bay Packers at the Philadelphia Eagles at Sunday at 4:30. The Eagles are 4.5-point favorites at home. The over/under sits at 45.5. This is the Packers are another team that they obviously played earlier in the season. Week 1 came down to the wire. Jordan Love hurts his knee in that game. They played at a neutral field. This is one, but same thing. Like Christian Watson just got announced that he's out for the season with torn ACL. Jair Alexander's out for the year with a PCL. This team just feels like they're a team that is just continuing to like lose their mojo a little bit, like doesn't have like that same pop. Ultimately, they still have Jordan Love. I don't know. He has battled a groin injury this year. He's battled a knee injury this year. There's something wrong with his elbow, I believe. I think that he's fine, but still, I am a little worried about the Green Bay Packers going into Philly, and the Philly, if Philly just runs the ball and sits on them for 3 quarters, and how they could really control this football game. Like I said, I just think this is a spot where the Packers just don't have enough, and things didn't go their way this season. Still a great team, still young, still going to be good for a long time, but this season alone, things just haven't gone their way really at all.
Yeah, I see here that Matt LaFleur addressed the reporters 2 days ago, and that Jordan Love will be good for the Eagles game. Really, I don't like. I think that if the Eagles go in there and they just take care of business, that they don't have anything to worry about. They take care of the football. They play good defense. I think they win this game by a touchdown.
What's going on with Jalen
I
Hurts? Because I saw that
so
he's still in concussion protocol. Is he good?
so I saw that you weren't allowed to technically clear concussion protocol until they had practice today. I don't know. I haven't seen anything here recently.
At what
Um,
point are you a 10 out of 10 panic button that he's in concussion protocol?
uh, 10 out of 10 panic button would be Friday.
Not
8
today.
out of 10 is Thursday.
What about today? 8 out of 10.
Today I'm at a 2.
If it comes out right now that he's on concussion protocol, I'd be worried.
Well,
let's search it.
I'm trying to find right now. If it gets to tomorrow and he's not out after practice, then I'm up to a 6. Thursday, I'm an 8. Friday, I'm full 10, maybe 11.
I'm not seeing anything.
I know
I'm
they
worried.
haven't really announced it.
He's been out for what?
Although
3
I
weeks?
did just see that 2 weeks.
Okay.
They did release Ian Book, so I would assume that means a quarterback is being added back to the roster.
He is on the roster.
Yeah, but like if you're in protocol, you're allowed to sign another quarterback to your.
Sure, you're just trying to make yourself feel better.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. No, but ultimately, if Jalen Hurts plays, I think that this team, like I said, just run the football. Like it's that.
Yeah, take care of the football, play solid defense. I don't even think it's worth watching the first game of the season because I think it's just the Packers are just a different team, and I don't really know if it's worth putting that much stake into the first game of the season. But I feel good about this. I do think the Eagles cover. They just got to go in there. This is just a lunch pail game. You go in there, you take care of business, and then you get out.
Last game, or 2 more games actually. First one, this might be a lineage play for me personally. Washington Commanders at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Bucks are -3 at home. The over-under's at 50.5. This is an absolute lineage bet for me personally, is Washington Commanders to win this game and the over. I mean, I just think the Commanders are a little bit of like team of destiny this year. And I think that they're going to win one playoff game. But after next week, honestly, after Jaden Daniels torched the Falcons, I was like, this guy is just like literally like insane. So I just like I gotta trust Jaden Daniels at this point.
What are you doing?
I'm just lighting a match, dude.
Okay. Yeah. As you told me the plan for the episode, I was looking through everything and I was like, I love the Commanders and the over in this one.
Yeah.
I think these two teams are just going to be slinging it all over the field. I think there's going to be a lot of points. I kind of get the same vibe with you as far as like team of destiny, kind of like they have a little bit of juice around them. As far as like first time making the playoffs in how long? It's been a minute, I'm pretty sure. But
yeah. They snuck in like 3 years ago.
It feels way longer.
Yeah.
But either way, like I don't know. I like Jaden Daniels a lot. He was he helped me win a fantasy championship. So I'm gonna put respect on my guys this playoffs. I love the Washington Commanders +3 over 50.5.
Yeah, I just think, like I said, Jaden Daniels has so much juice right now, and his ability to run the football. I said this the other day. He's just gonna win. He's gonna win an MVP at some point. Like,
yeah,
he's going to. If he stays healthy, he'll win an MVP. He's Lamar Jackson. Like, that's who Jaden Daniels is. So yeah,
I was gonna say I wanted to ask you about the coach the OC in Washington. His name has been brought up, Cliff Kingsbury.
What's the reasoning for him to do anything right now? Because he's still getting paid his contract from the Arizona Cardinals, his head coaching money from this year and next. He's making a shit ton of money. I don't think that there's any reason for him to rush into any situation at all when you can be in Washington and be with Jaden Daniels. And I think at some point he'll be a head coach again, but
Okay.
I don't think it's this offseason at all.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to think about it because it does seem like he finally put together like a consistent season on the offensive side of the football. There were some lulls, but I do realistically feel like Jaden Daniels had a pretty impressive season from start to finish.
Yeah.
And I understand wanting to be the guy that I'm going to say the Bears just because of the connection with Caleb Williams. I understand wanting to be the guy that goes in there and fixes that, but like you're also kind of the guy that's fixing the Washington Commanders right now.
Yeah.
And from what we've seen, Jaden Daniels has had infinitely better season than Caleb Williams, and the Commanders were a team that we were definitely wrong on
For sure.
coming into the season. So like maybe the narcissistic version of Cliff Kingsbury comes out and he wants to go, but like I would be pretty content with where I'm at right now if I'm him.
I don't think Cliff is a narcissistic guy, honestly. He went after he got fired from the Cardinals. He like notoriously booked a one-way ticket to Thailand, and then he like came back and was like an offensive analyst for USC, and just like worked with the quarterbacks. And like I don't think that Cliff's making a ton of money. I think that he's in a good spot, obviously, like team wise. They go out and win a playoff game this year, he's just going to be like, okay, great. And he's just going to be able to kind of keep parlaying that. He's still going to be a hot name next year too. Like, so I don't think Cliff is I think Cliff is calculated and makes good moves for himself personally. I think he's a smart guy.
He should take the Ben Johnson approach to being a head coach. I think that he should put together a couple years. He's like what, 37 years old?
Probably. Let me check.
He should put together like a few really impressive seasons of being an offensive coordinator and on a really good team, and then he can basically go wherever he wants.
He is 45.
Holy shit, he looks way younger than that.
I mean, that's
either
still
way,
young.
45 still young for a coach.
Yeah.
I think he should take that path. I think he should continue to prove that he can put together full seasons of effective offensive football as an effective offensive coordinator. You have shit. I mean, maybe he doesn't even venture into a head coaching position ever again. Maybe he's just like the best offensive coordinator of all time and just rocks with Jaden Daniels for his whole career and wins
I think at some point he's going to want to be a head coach again, just because
I get it. Yeah,
he was a head coach.
It's a cool job, and there's only 32 of them. And if you're
and he was already a head coach in college, and he was a head coach in the NFL already. Like, he knows what it takes. And just anecdotally hearing stories from inside of like the Cardinals building, like Cliff really gives it his all. Like, Cliff is like
I would hope so.
First guy there, last guy to leave type of coach, like cares a ton. And like, I think at some point he'll probably want to be a head coach again, but I don't think right now. I think he's content with where he's at, which why wouldn't you be?
Yeah, I think he's in a great situation right now. I don't think he should be in any rush to jump out of it.
No, not at all.
It's so difficult to go and turn a franchise around
Yeah,
that yeah, it's sick as hell if you can go in and not necessarily just speaking about Cliff Kingsbury, but like it's sick as hell to go in there and completely turn around the Chicago Bears and you'll be a superstar in Chicago for the rest of your life. But like it is so freaking difficult. You can have so much talent in your building and like things still not work out. It's just crazy.
definitely. Like I said, I just think like why he's just the fact that he's still getting paid his full contract from the Arizona Cardinals. Like I just think he's in a different position mentally than a lot of other people.
That's very fair.
Last game is Monday night. The Minnesota Vikings at the LA Rams. The Vikings are 1.5 point favorites. The over-under is at 47.5. This is another lineage bet for me. I feel like everybody has completely forgot about what the Minnesota Vikings have done this entire season, and they are getting absolutely zero respect in this spot. The Rams last week literally had to rest all of their guys because of how banged up they are.
Yeah.
And I don't know if 1 week really does anything for that. Like obviously you have Puka Nacua, he's a dog. Cooper Kupp looks like is having another season where he's coming off of injury and can't get fully healthy. I think that this is an opportunity for the Vikings to go in and take care of business on the road against the Rams.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if there's a better matchup for the Vikings than the Rams as of right now.
That's what I think too.
I think everybody, I'm right there with you. I think everybody is super down on the Vikings and like whatever, they just got their shit stomped in by the Lions, but like the Lions are pretty good and I still think that there's a huge gap between the Lions, Vikings, Eagles and then the rest of the NFC.
Yeah.
Like I this line only being at 1.5 is kind of surprising to me. I think they're reading into last week way too much. I think that Sam Darnold just had a bad game. He made some bad throws and shit happens. I mean, they went 14-3.
Yeah.
Like he's bound to have a bad game at some point, right? Like it happens. I really think that they bounce back here. And I really think that obviously I think they cover 1.5.
Who's checking Justin Jefferson and
Nobody.
Jordan Addison on the Lions defense? I mean on the Rams defense. Nobody.
No.
That's really what it comes down to for me.
And I think that this coaching staff, although McVay is a wizard, I think that the coaching staff in Minnesota is really solid. I think they're going to put together a really good game plan, and they just have better players. Like, 100%. I don't really know how great I feel about a banged up back end of his career, Matt Stafford, dealing with getting blitzed 60% of the game. Like, how's that offensive line going to hold up when Van Ginkel and those guys are coming down your throat every play? I
am completely with you.
So yeah, I'm on the Vikings here.
White clouds blowing out when we max 4-5, not the size, but it